once again.
Welcome to I
Like,
Got You
they have to say
podcast.
something. They have
Today
to get the
our
last word.
topic
They
is
have to
Battle
prove
of the
their point. As a
Sexes.
man, sometimes we just like, you know what? You got it. I'm not going to say nothing. I'm just going to let it slide. It's not even worth the argument. You win. Go ahead.
What do you think?
To me, that's poor communication to say you win. I mean, what is that going to do?
Pick and choose your battles.
Exactly. You have to pick and choose your battles. Sometimes stuff is just not working.
I think that the fact that you said that, you know, we know when to say something as a man and when not to say something, that's something that you just let slide. It snowballs, you know, it slides off a cliff and it catches in the flames. You know, it's always better to have that conversation from start to finish and just to sit down and talk it out. There's never a time when a man pulling back on something that a woman feels that passionate about is going to be the answer.
Yeah.
It's going to be to talk it out. There's never, I mean, it grows two heads and a tail by the time you want to come back to it, because we don't forget about it. First of all, if it was an issue, it doesn't become a non-issue because you choose not to talk about it.
But just because a woman wants to talk about a certain subject doesn't make you a better communicator. It just makes you more persistent with the conversation than it does me. I don't.
We're talking about two different
it's waking up.
concepts. Because one is communication and one would be problem solving. So, you know, the problem solving is that when it's not addressed because our communication is not aligning because men and women communicate differently, then women tend to harp on it, or in men's words, nag about it, because we're constantly going to bring it up because we feel like it hasn't been resolved. And so what I hear the men saying is that they've gotten to a point where, like, I'm going to pick and choose my battles and I'm going to engage on certain things that I feel strong about. But if I don't have a strong stance on it, then I'm not going to. But for women, you know, not talking about it leaves it unresolved. And so I think it's important that as men and women, we find that common ground that allows us to communicate, maybe, you know, not in that moment, maybe at a different time, but you still have to work on the problem solving of that situation. Otherwise, you're just having the same argument day in and day out because you haven't gotten to the root of what the problem is. So I think there's two different issues here that we're actually discussing, from my perspective.
Yeah. And I think that going without talking about it for a long time breeds toxic relationship. I think it's best to communicate a lot of times when the situation arises.
But now, Latoya just said that, you know, when women communicate and then it gets to the point of being called a nag. And I think it's a reason that women are called nag, and men feel like women nag and women don't feel like men nag. And that's because men communicate better than women. So we don't come off as nagging and complaining because we know how to properly communicate our feelings.
Can we say differently?
If she had resolution, you know, like if you talked it out right then or immediately after, or if you said, you know what, let's have this conversation tomorrow. Things are a little heated right now. At least she knows tomorrow you're going to get to it. But when you don't get to it and she feels like she's bringing it up over and over and over, it's because there's no solution. It hasn't been resolved. It's unfinished.
No, it's been resolved. Y'all, if y'all don't get the answer you like, you keep bringing it up until you get the answer you like. It's been resolved. You've gotten your answer, but you're going to keep bringing it up until you get the answer you want. That's when the nag comes in. Because like I've told you already, we've discussed this already. This is the answer. It's not going to change.
To come up with that answer doesn't mean that answer is on common ground. Like that answer needs to be a compromise. It doesn't.
But it's not always. And that's where I think as men and women, we struggle. Not every conversation, every conflict is going to be able to be resolved where it's like everyone's happy.
Yes.
Sometimes somebody's going to walk away from that situation feeling like, I don't really know if I was heard or if I got what I wanted. And we get caught up in, I didn't get what I wanted. But in a relationship, sometimes you do have to bend a little bit to your partner, right? That's a compromise because you can't win every situation. That's not what a relationship is about. That's not what conflict resolution is about. When you think about being in the workplace, you know, you don't always get what you want in the workplace just because you spoke up.
Right.
Well, I think that first of all, when it comes to men and women being conversation wise, I don't think that it's about who's better listener, because listening is an art that some would never master. So a lot of times people hear what they want to hear and block out what they don't want to hear. And a lot of women, you can tell them some things 5, 6, 7 times, but they're going to hear what they want to hear. Versus men, they make up their mind on a certain subject or whatever the matter may be, and a lot of them get stubborn. They stick to what it's like this. It's not going to be no other way. This is the way it is. And like I said, listening is an art that some would never master. You hear certain things, but you're not really listening to what they're saying. So a lot of people need to be better listeners to even to be a better communicator.
That's a good point.
That is a good point.
Good point.
That's both sexes, but I don't think that's just women, because sometimes men think they're listening to just because they hear what's said, but that doesn't mean they really heard the problem.
Right.
That's why it goes back to listening is an art that some will never master.
I'm deaf.
Yeah, we agree.
I'm deaf.
What do you think?
But you can also listen in regard to watching behavior. And so one thing I would say, I don't think, you know, we should get rid of the word better communicator and say that we can.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
And that when you listen, sometimes people will listen with the intent to understand, empathize, and other times people listen with the intent to respond, or I'm just waiting for you to stop so I can get my point across.
Right. Defend.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Women are better in that which they do, and men are better in that which they do. So what is that they do that they better at?
Right.
Why does anybody have to be better? Why? I mean, if we're talking about a people,
I think it's just different. We're just different.
The other?
Exactly.
Different.
My point exactly.
Different. Yeah.
All right, guys. All right, let me go on to the second question. So this was another issue. It was implied that when men cheat, right? So again, a thing was brought up about cheating, that men cheated. When men cheated, it was a physical thing. And when women cheated, it was an emotional thing. All right. So, what makes one better than the other?
I'll let y'all handle this.
Where's the word better? Like this word better keeps coming up. Like,
all right. So the question is, it was implied that when men cheat, it was just a physical thing, and when a woman cheats, it's an emotional. It was on an emotional level.
Because
do you
most
think
women
one outweighs
most women,
the other? Hold on. Do you think one outweighs the other?
I don't know, because I don't cheat.
No.
I wouldn't say one outweighs the other. Is a lot of times men tend to cheat if it's something. It's got to be something at home must be wrong if they out there doing it like that.
Oh wait.
If they do it like that,
Okay. So
There we go.
Okay, but hold on. So going back to the first episode with all the women, and when this topic was brought up, the women were saying that if they get to the point of cheating, that means that they are emotionally done with their mate. Because if they were not emotionally done with their mate, then they would not let another man touch them. They couldn't see it unless they were emotionally done. So to me, if you are emotionally done to still staying around, that's toxic. That's like a man could just make a mistake and cheat. I'm not a cheater, so I'm just saying per se because I don't know. So if a man is just doing it just off of physical, then he's not done with you. That love is still there. That emotion is still there. He made a mistake. But if you're saying that you've cheated because you're done and you are emotionally withdrawn from that person, then yes, that's worse because that situation is done. It's over, and you've already moved on.
But Wayne,
I'm just saying. Listen, again, I don't cheat, so I don't have any expertise in the
Got my eye to
I'm just saying.
Right.
well, the issue is, Wayne, that men tend to think that because it's on a physical level, it's not as detrimental as an emotional level. And men tend to have problems when women cheat because they think because it's emotional, they think that's the worst thing that could ever happen to them. But guys tend to minimize the fact that even though you think it's a physical thing, it doesn't cause as much harm and pain as an emotional thing.
Right.
So
Well, I don't know what
understand
I don't know what guys y'all been talking to, because the guys that I know and me and my friends, that ain't how we look at it. I don't know. I don't cheat. I don't condone cheating, so I don't understand the mind of a cheater. But I don't like, to me, I don't think either one is right, because why cheat? If you are not responsible enough to be monogamous, then why enter into a monogamous relationship?
Right.
Why not just be a bachelor and play the field? Why get in a relationship if you don't feel you can be faithful to that person?
I agree. I think
Yeah.
What'd you say, Teresa?
I said I think they're both equally detrimental, and I say that because personally I've had that happen to me. You know, in a marriage, after 19 years of being with somebody, they cheated. So physically or mentally, however he was attached to be with that woman at that time, that was detrimental to me because I was emotionally and physically invested. So I don't think that he did it and it was just a one-time thing or he made a mistake. You know, you didn't fall, you didn't slip. Like, you know, that was a decision that you made. You know, you were involved, you were interacting with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I don't feel like either one is worse or better than the other. Cheating is cheating, you know, and I think whether it's emotional or physical, you know, it's bound to be physical, you know, but that emotional piece, you continue to do it, there's going to be an emotional piece to it, you know, which is still detrimental to the other partner. So I think they're both equally disgusting and absolutely, you know, unwarranted for the other partner.
Corey, I see you shaking your head. What does that mean?
I mean, I agree. I guess I'll be the one person up in here that's cheated, right? So I agree. I agree they're both disgusting, however, but along the same lines, I'm that one person that'll sit here and tell you a man can cheat. It's not, we're not attached, we're not emotionally attached. There's no feelings behind it. A man can go and do what he does and comes back home. At the end of the day, you want to take care of home. Something is lacking at the house. A woman will not go out and step on cheat because she has an itch. Period, point blank. I don't believe that.
Well, some women might. It just depends on how that woman is wired.
Hey, well, you know what? You show me that woman, and I'll show you a woman who walks away from that place with money in her pocket.
So I think.
He probably
So you
got
trying to say that as a
the
woman
out
that she
to
has
you.
to be paid for it? I mean, what are you insinuating, sir? I'll wait.
Exactly. And like I said, women will not go out and cheat just because they see somebody who, oh, he got a nice smile. Let me go back here and take it behind the bushes. It won't happen. Whereas a man,
so you're saying to that level is how a man cheats. It's just based on a physical, like a girl walking in the club with a nice booty and he will smash? Is that what you're saying?
It's physical. If a man has Mrs. Right at home, 9 times out of 10, a man is looking for Mrs. Right now. And Mrs. Right now will fulfill his needs and he'll go about his business.
But if he has Mrs. Right at home, then Mrs. Right now is Mrs. Right at home. So if the woman at home is right, then he's not out. I don't know. I don't cheat. Yeah, I don't know how cheaters' minds work. So I'm gonna stay out of this one.
Like I said, a woman can be doing everything. If a woman can be doing everything right that she's supposed to be doing at home, but there's something that's lacking. Whether it's sexually, she's not pleasing that man. She could be everything he wants, but just when it comes to the physical nature of a relationship, it's lacking. So he'll go somewhere else and he'll get that and he'll come back home.
So women can be wired the same way, though. Is what I'm saying.
Hold on, I'm gonna challenge that just
women are built that way.
Just a little bit, and I'm gonna say that it doesn't mean that it's something lacking in the woman, right? So a lot of times, because women walk away feeling like, well, what did I do or what didn't I do that caused him to cheat on me? But sometimes it's what's lacking in the man, right? Yes. And so they may find what they feel is missing in them, but because it's being validated by this other person. Mm-hmm. So what
am I going to find that's lacking in me in a woman?
What? Insecurity?
Your insecurities.
I mean, ego stroking. I mean, being with an independent woman that just like wants you and doesn't need you. I mean, it can be a series of things.
It can be a variety of things, right?
But see,
I'm gonna give you an example. Right? So I have my doctorate, and I have been cheated on, right? And what I've been told is, because I am in this 1% who, because you have your doctorate, you're intimidating, and so. I feel like I have to live up to your expectations. I have to live up to these demands. And so, I cheated because I ain't have to work as hard with that person. Or I didn't feel like as a man that I had to put forth as much effort, or I had to bring as much to the table. Because with you got the whole table. And so I'm like, and so that's what I've been told and I've heard. And so that's why I say that sometimes it's not about what I'm doing, because I could be cooking, cleaning, laying it down, and doing everything else, right?
Right.
Doing everything that they say you're supposed to do to provide and care for and nurture and take care of your man, and he still will go out here. And so I had to ask myself, what is going on? And then I sat down and had that conversation with him to find out, well, what is it that you're looking for that I'm not bringing to the table, or what do you feel like maybe what do you feel like is causing you to step out? And when a man is able to be honest and come to me and say, you know what, it's not even really about you. It's about me and where I am in my life. And I don't feel like I am at a point where, I can provide for you. I can take care of you, or that I'm bringing to the table the same thing that you are bringing to the table. And so I started to realize, like, in some instances, that I started to educate myself out of the type of man that I was attracted to, right? Because my type was the, I like a little aggressiveness, a little thuggishness.
I'm with you.
I started to date. I started to educate myself up out of that type.
Yeah.
But see, I think what a lot of women don't understand is that a lot of women like males. They don't like men. They like boys. They like males. They don't like grown men who are secure in themselves and are mature enough to handle you at where you're at. You like a male who has this preconceived notion of what a male is supposed to be, what the gender role is supposed to be, and how it's supposed to go. So that's the difference. Is that it's all about, it's a maturity thing. It's a maturity level. And it's and whether that person has a lot to do with how people were raised, and also just where they are in their life at that time. Right. Because I've dealt with women that made a lot more money than me. I've dealt with women that made less money than me. But that, like, what she's doing has never intimidated me, because it's more than what I have done. Because if I'm at the point where she's coming home and laying next to me every night, I've done something right. So, I mean, I don't have to feel intimidated by what she's doing. Listen, we can do this together. We can build this together. But I had one relationship where she made a lot more money than me. And I had to, now, the problem I did have with that was that when she used to buy me stuff, I used to tell her, do not buy me anything I can't afford to buy for myself. If I have to save up to buy it, I don't want you to buy it for me, because I'm not going to be able to reciprocate that. But even in that relationship, it was like, it took a lot of putting my pride and my ego to the side to understand that, for certain things where I wanted to provide for her, but, her taste was different than my wallet could. And she like, don't worry, babe. I got it for myself. That took a lot. That took a lot of pushing my ego to the side to understand that I'm bringing something to her, and it's not the financial aspect, but I'm fulfilling her needs in other ways.
Okay. All right.
A lot of men can't push that ego and pride to the side like that.
Right.
And they want a woman out there that's going to sit there as independent as she is. It's intimidating, and the more that she's capable of doing, they feel afraid, like their ability to provide for her is being infringed upon. Their egos start to get small, and they're looking for somebody in the streets that's going to worship them, somebody that look up to them. And that was my situation, you know. So it ain't always about what a woman's not doing at home or what she's not providing, cooking, clean. You can do all those things. But if a man has too much pride and too much ego, and those things tend to outweigh his love for you, and the woman out there willing to worship him, he's gonna go for that.
But see, I wouldn't say it outweighs his love for you, because men will still love you even if they so they don't view it in the same way that we do, right? So as women, like Wayne said, we're more emotional, and so when we have stepped out, it's because we've already divorced the idea of being in a relationship with that person. It's like, I'm okay if this ends, because emotionally I am already out the door. It's just I'm here physically, right? And so I would caution you to say that I don't think that it equates to that they no longer love you or they don't love you the same. I don't feel like those two things are the same. And then you do have those men who just cheat because, you know, it was the next nice new thing that walked past, and it was like, oh, I just wanted, you know, to get that itch scratched, and she was the flavor of the day.
Right.
Barbara?
So, Barb, what do you think?
She can't hear us?
Barb. She can't hear us?
Hey,
okay, no worries. Oh,
I definitely echo a lot of what LaToya stated, just in regards to, you know, when you meet certain men, depending on what your preference is, you attract, you know, what you like, and, you know, they like what they like also. But what I've learned is that oftentimes your successes, and as you grow, somehow in their mind puts a spotlight on what they have not achieved. And it becomes almost like, you know, I'm now your competition, when originally we were supposed to be on the same team. You know what I mean? So it becomes problematic, because you're looking at me, and now the argument gets to like, oh, well, you know, have anybody try to talk to you where you work at? And it's like, babe, what are you talking about? Like, I like you. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I know a lot of fine black men that got MBAs, but I'm rocking with you, with an associate.
Right.
Like, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, and that becomes a breakdown in the relationship. Because as I stated before, you're no longer building as a team. Now he's looking at you as competition.
Right.
And then the argument shifts. Like, when you're trying to tell him something or maybe even show him something, it's like, oh, because you think you're smarter than me? And you're like, wait, where's that coming from? We're just having a general conversation. Like, so those insecurities, again, I think grows, you know, and can definitely show itself in the relationship, and much to what Teresa was saying. Now he's looking for something that's comfortable.
Right. And I think what Brenda said that is real important, is that is one thing that if a man that is not on the same level, like if he's not a corporate worker, or he doesn't financially is not on the same level as this woman, he is like you have to really be secure in yourself to not be intimidated by the other men that she works around, because she's working around other men that are on the same financial level as her, and you're thinking, well, these men can provide what I can't.
Exactly.
And you know, a lot of times women are told to know your worth and understand your worth, but men aren't told to understand their worth, and a lot of men don't know their worth. I was lucky enough that I know, listen, if you want to roll with them, go ahead. I know what I bring to the table. So
I love that.
Right. Like, but a lot of men don't know or understand their worth, and they don't understand, and a lot of men don't understand how hard women actually love, and how far they will go for a man that they do actually love.
Right.
And when you understand and realize how hard a woman will go for you if she loves you,
that's it.
It opens your eyes to her in a totally different way.
I love that. I agree.
It's not always dollar sign.
Exactly.
Corey, I know you disagree, so go ahead.
Of course I do.
I can tell you do.
You know, they keep throwing this word around. They keep using this word so loosely. Intimidation. First of all, any alpha, the men that I hang around with, they all alphas. So there's no reason for me to be intimidated by a woman, regardless of your stature or your education level. Period. Point blank. Now, you as a woman, you have to keep in mind there's two types of women. There's an educated woman who carries herself in a distinctive manner. So she's going to talk down to a man. Because of the simple fact, if you have a PhD and I have an associate's from the community college by the lake, you're going to talk down to me.
1 second.
But if we're on a level playing field, then I would never look at you as somebody who is, you feel like you're better than me. So an educated woman will more than likely talk down to her man, and that's where the problem lies. It all depends on how that woman carries herself. When you in a conversation, when you're with it, you and your woman are together. Women have the tendency to remind the man, well, you know what? You went to the same community college by the lake. I have a PhD. I have a doctorate degree. I know what I'm talking about. No, you don't. And I think
that's not true.
But no, I totally
don't agree
with that.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all.
Only because I have been in that position. I don't even have my associates, and I have dated a woman who was a pastor of her own church and had a PhD, and once we understood each other, it was never, I know more than you, I'm more educated than you. You don't know that. Because that respect we have for each other.
That was established. It was established. But a lot of women you don't get to that point.
If you are really a man and you handle your business as a man, it gets to at that point. It gets to.
I agree. Handle your business.
All right, let's move on, Corey. I think that was it. All right.
not you per se.
Point blank. All right. So number 3. Women say they want honesty, right? The women say they want honesty, can handle honesty, but somehow the men think we cannot. What are your thoughts?
They can't handle it.
Had conversations
Wait,
about.
say that again. I'm sorry.
They can't handle it.
So women say they want honesty, that we want honesty and can handle the honesty, but somehow the men think we cannot.
And that's across the board, like just anything in general. Honesty, we cannot handle honesty. Period.
You can't.
Right?
You can't.
Honesty, period. That we say we want honesty, but when the men tell us they have to do it in a certain way, they got to make sure they don't hurt our feelings. It's too much.
Why would you take that part?
I think it's the women that those men are associating with.
Yes.
Because I am one of those chicks who wants you to give me as straightforward as possible. I don't want to have to read your mind. I don't want to have to read your actions.
No, you don't.
Give me your
No, you don't.
Tell me
No, you don't.
exactly how you.
You don't. You don't.
Yes, I do.
All right, let her talk. Go ahead. Let her talk. Go ahead.
So at the end of the day, it all depends on the women that you guys are
I would agree.
associating with.
Okay.
I am very straightforward, so I expect it's the same. So it is what it is.
Okay.
I agree.
Let me ask you this. So let's say you come home from work and something happened at work. It was a trying day, and you can't wait to get home. And you walk through the door, and you're taking your stuff off, and you be like, "Babe, you would not believe what happened to me at work today." And da 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 da. And he looks at you and says, "I don't care." That's honesty.
I would laugh.
Care.
I would bust out laughing. Like, but I'm a different kind of chick.
Now that's honesty. I'm dead honest. I don't care.
I'm like, I probably
Are
should
you
care.
ready for that honesty? Is that honesty that you want?
No,
you
they're
don't
not.
want that honesty. So I have to pretend like I care. I have to pretend like I'm invested in what's going on at your job today because I have to act like I care because you don't want me to be honest. If you don't, if you walk out and I'm like, you look stupid in those jeans.
I need that. I want that.
Exactly.
You don't have me looking stupid because I'm checking you. Like, you really knew I look stupid in the jeans and you let me walk out the house? Like, yo. Because I had an ex and I told her, I said, you look like a clown with that makeup on. You look ridiculous. I was being honest. I felt that was like brutally honest. There's a difference. Like, there's a difference between honesty and then being brutally honest.
Honesty. Whether it's brutal or not, it's still being honest.
If your chicken tastes like somebody's feet,
so now
your chicken tastes like feet. That's honesty.
Now we have to tiptoe when we use our words.
Yeah, that's not true. Because if your woman be like, babe, your sex was whack last night, you're going to be looking at it sideways. And I'll be like, next time you should work out in the gym first, you should come to me and then go. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you feeling some kind. It just depends on whatever that communication or how that woman is built, how she's wired. Because some women you can't be direct with.
You tell me my sex is whack, then you know what? I got you tomorrow. We'll be all right.
Yo, I love it. See, that's what I'm saying. We could work with that. Same thing for me. Like, but again, some women will look at that like, I don't know. I like, I'm with Nay on that. It definitely depends on the woman. It definitely depends on the woman.
Right.
You tell me my sex is whack. I'm gonna tell you, well, you should have investigated more before we got together.
I'd have been like, because all the arguments I heard clearly was a lie.
Oh Jesus.
Or,
What are y'all thoughts?
or maybe the experience level was different. I'm just saying. I mean, I don't know.
But why is it that honesty has to be brutal? Like brutal? Why can't it be honest?
That's what I'm saying. Thank you, Keisha.
Yeah. Why?
Sometimes it's like think about how we responded to men. Sometimes it really just like you just don't feel like putting a filter on it. You don't always be cute about it, dressing it up, being worried about your feelings. Like, am I gonna like? Would it be nice if at all times we could always be considerate of the other person's feelings? But if we're gonna be real, like sometimes we just be like, look, no, I don't feel like hearing about your day.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I don't care. Like I used to have my ex.
But telling somebody they look stupid. I mean,
I can't
stupid.
imagine myself ever
That's
being
kind of
honest.
that's kind of hard.
Like it should always be
hard,
place,
but it's like you can't take everything personal, right? I mean, I agree. You need to, girl. I don't like that hair. I wear wigs a lot, and so I've been told by a boyfriend, "Yo, like, what is that?"
Yeah.
I'm like,
I would laugh.
Oh, no, let me go. And so for me, it didn't bother me. It was like, let me go.
Right.
Okay, so see for me,
Right.
but for me, the hardest thing to be honest about, because I'm at the age where a lot of the women I deal with have kids.
How you doing, son?
Is to be honest to a woman about her kids. She'll take me being honest about her, but if I have to say, your kid may not be the most talented thing on the planet, or your kid may be a little bit annoying. That kind of y'all don't want to take that honesty,
and that's a different dose of honesty right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't talk about people's kids.
Your son sucks at basketball.
I don't know. 'Cause I'm a mother. I'm a mom, so I don't know.
That's a different dose of honesty. Parents will be real sensitive about their kids, so you gotta tread lightly. You might be encouraging and say, I really think little Scotty would do well in this science class over here. But you don't just say, oh, he suck at basketball. Like, all he doing is riding the bench. No, now with kids, you do have to have a different flavor.
But that'll be just like talking about a man's mother. Like if you really wanted to keep it 100 about a man's mother, like you gotta tread lightly with that either, because he be crying and sucking on his thumb like, you talking about my mama. Yeah, I'm talking about your mother. Yes. And I mean, like, you can't just be brutally honest about that. So let's be clear. There are certain subjects, even in a man or with a man, that you can't be brutally honest with, because we all.
You can be brutally honest about my mother, because I know my mother.
Right,
I know my mother is.
You say that, but people be like, I could say it about my mom, but don't you say
Nobody else says
Right, exactly.
Well, I just say, I bet you won't say it to her face. My mother can defend herself.
Here I go, call her up.
Here we go. All right, guys. All right, so the next question, right? So one of the guys sent in that when you meet a guy that has everything that you need emotionally, everything, he knows how to communicate with you and everything, but he is not your physical type. Why is it that women can't stay with you because you're not their physical type? But he's giving you everything else. But he's not tall, dark, and handsome. He might be a little thick. He might be a little skinny.
He said, why can women stay?
But you won't stay with him because of his physical looks.
Oh, we can't stay with him. Oh, we won't stay with him. Okay.
I don't know. I feel
Because
like
women have preferences. At the end of the day, I was one of the ones that didn't like that question or how it was phrased, because guys out there have a plethora of options. And at the end of the day, I feel like I want a specific type. I'm a tall girl, so I don't rock with short dudes. That should be my prerogative, right? So why take that away from me because that's my preference? So it is what it is.
So then your preference is to be, see, I always say women don't like good men. Women want the men that they like to be a good man. So and when the women were asked this question, a lot of women were saying, well, why can't I have both? Why can't I have it all? Why can't I have everything? Because that doesn't exist. So that you want to know why? You want to know why a lot of men are more happy than women? Because men have understood that I can go and find what I'm looking for emotionally and everything, and maybe have to physically, but I will be happy at home. That's why that's one of the main reasons why you see it with a lot of men, a lot of black men going to white women, because the white women, even though they may not be what they want physically, all the other things they do, they will do it. So a man is more willing to step outside of what he's looking for physically to get what he needs in other areas. Whereas a woman is like, well, this is what I want physically, and I just hope that he does all the other stuff that I need. And if not, I'm just gonna say there's no good men out there.
But when they settle for the and they sacrifice the physical, does that contribute to the cheating?
Okay.
We talk about synergy.
So I'll put it like this. I have.
I'm just saying. Because men can get you. You have that package at home, and you're getting everything you need. And we just talked about this in that last couple of questions ago. But then men are such physical creatures, right? And they get that itch. And because now that you have compromised on that, now
Okay, I'm gonna put it like this. I used to work at Victoria's Secret a long time ago. I used to work at Victoria's Secret. And there was a girl that worked with us at Victoria's Secret that the first time I saw her, I was like, ew. She was ugly. I was like, she's hit. But getting to know her by the time I left Victoria's Secret, her personality and what she offered was so dope. I was trying to low-key holler at her. And I've also met women that I've seen and I'm like, yo, she's bad. Like, I gotta holler at her. And getting to know her, by the time I really got to know her, she was no longer attractive because her personality made her unattractive. So I think men, the more your personality is appealing to us, the more we are drawn to you. Whereas women, I think it's harder for y'all to get over the physical aspect of it.
I will say it is. I say for me, and I can only speak from a personal experience. I won't even speak, professionally on this one. I need the aesthetic, right? I have to be physically attracted to you in some way. Now, I will say that over time, you may notice, okay, I thought that, this tall, dark, and handsome was going to be the full package, and then it didn't work out that way. But I've also tried to date men that physically, it was like my mom would say, you onion cry ugly. And so
Nay, I'm gonna take that.
And I've tried to date it because I ain't gonna say that onion cry ugly, but that's just the old folks saying. But I never tell your face up when you look at him. He kind, but he real sweet, And if I gotta say your personality is nice before like all that good stuff, it's hard for me to connect. I don't know if for me if it's like that because I don't have children. Because I've always wondered, when I have children, I don't want to have an onion cry baby.
But the thing is this. But I think it's crazy that women have the audacity to be so hooked on looks and so hooked on that stuff. Men look the same when we get in our night clothes and go to bed as we do when we get dressed and walk out. If a woman walks into the bathroom and gets ready for bed and comes out, if you don't know her, you won't know that's the same person.
We don't. Oh, that's not true.
That is
not
taking the.
We ain't going to nightstand. This is what brought home.
Listen, this is you. You must be the you're the ugly twin sister. You're the ugly step sister. What are you doing?
You went from Janet to Freddie Jackson.
Real quick.
Wow.
But then we'll have the nerve to say, well, he's not my type. He's not tall, dark, and handsome. You are tall, dark, and handsome.
I am that woman. Yeah.
What do you think, Teresa?
Kids, and I think synergy, sexual energy is where that good looks needs to be. I think, and that might be a little bit too much, but I'm just saying sexual energy from the and when two people are together and they're creating that synergy, that's some of the bonding that takes place between a woman and a man. If I can't see you as being remotely attractive, you don't have to be tall, dark, and handsome, and this and that, but it has to be something that's attractive. I don't care if it's your eyes. It depends on what it is that I like. Teeth, smile, personality, all those things play a role in it. And you're not going to want to be physically intimate with somebody that you're not at least somewhat physically attracted to. Because it just ain't going to work out. They're going to want you. You're kind of repulsed or just kind of, kind of standoffish. You ain't going to want to do all that.
Right.
But there has to be something. I mean, you can be short and you don't have all that. Like it depends on what the person likes, but it has to come in a package that they can appreciate, physically, easy on the eye, to have that sexual chemistry and that bonding.
Right. I agree. Okay. All right. So the next question, right? On a previous discussion also, Corey, it's been said that Black women are not as vulnerable as other groups of women. So what are your thoughts? We're not as vulnerable. We're not as spontaneous. We're not as...
And that's why you guys go to the other race.
To the other race. Like you go, when a lot of Black men go to the white women, like Wayne just said, the white women or the Spanish women, because they're willing to do a little bit more, according to some men.
I gotta kind of disagree with them because I've dated all races of women, and I think if you tap into a woman's synergy, great word, a woman will pretty much do anything for you if you're able to tap into that. So
I agree.
Other races are generally a little bit quicker, but I've dated Black women who they just as but you have to bring that out of them. You know what I mean? And it takes a special type of man to do that. So
okay, Wayne.
Hmm.
Do you think Black women are as vulnerable as other races of women?
I have a Black mother. I have a Black sister. I have Black cousins. I date Black women. I have no experience with any other race, so I don't even know.
But have you ladies heard that before?
Yeah, absolutely.
The Black man has gone to the white lady and said they do a little bit more than we do. We're more angry than the white lady, I guess.
Oh, definitely.
Agree with that? So, Corey, you agree with that part?
Yes.
What?
If you turn on the news, how many white women you seen stab their husband?
No, they too busy drowning their children. I mean, I don't know. Their risk. I mean,
exactly.
No, we talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Like a Black woman said she'll bust the windows out your car. A Black woman said that.
So you think a Black woman is more angry than another race?
Yeah.
That's a white woman in the hood that would.
No, white women poison you. I'm just saying. I don't understand. What's the thing?
Well, that's usually for money. I'm broke, so I ain't got to worry about them poisoning.
No, but she might have a life insurance policy because Daddy got money. I mean, again.
Nah. But Daddy ain't got no money either. He broke too.
So we're gonna bring up the question about the nagging, right? Yeah. That Wayne brought up earlier. So men say that women nag. What is nagging? What does that mean to y'all?
Yeah, what exactly?
When you don't like the answer you got, so you keep pushing until you get the answer you want.
We're not going to sleep until you get the answer that you want. It's and like I said, we talk about communication.
What you say, Corey?
We talk about that communication thing. If a woman's not getting the answer that she wants, it's okay. We're gonna talk about this tomorrow. That is. And as a man, once we get to that point where it's like, okay, you know what? I'm done with this conversation. I'm good. The covers are thrown at you. Go sleep on the couch, and we gonna pick this up tomorrow. Or they'll have that until they get resolved. That issue will just keep coming up, and it could be years down the road, because women, they hold it in the back of their mind, and then you sit at the table. Everything's good, and then it be like, well, what about in 1995 when you brought up the? Because they hold it. They hold it. Until they get that resolved. And once they get that resolved, then they good.
So Corey, my question is, why isn't it resolved? Right? At the end of the day, if she got to come to you 5 years, we just hypothetically speaking, right? If she got to come to you 5 years down the line and the issue has still not been resolved, it may be a reflection on you. So why can't men see it from the standpoint of there's a need that needs to be met and you're not meeting that need? So why don't you step back, have a conversation, and work together to figure this out so that you guys are not nagged and that we guys are not this all the time. That's all
But
we're saying.
That's the thing. It'll come a time where, you know, because as a man, we know, okay, I have to fulfill your needs. And it'll get to that one point where, well, damn, I'm always fulfilling your needs. Can we just let this one go? And women will be like, no, this is important to me. We're not letting this one go. But all of the 99 other ones prior to this, I'm just not doing it today. And we're going to finish this one because they want to finish. Women have to finish.
And guys want to just shut up and not say anything. So how is that going to be resolved? You have to, I think it comes back to communication. Like, communicate.
Right, but who says,
it's like
but who says it has to be resolved? Who says that? Who says it has to be resolved?
At least
why not?
I'm listening.
Who said it should not be?
Huh?
Who said it should not be resolved? Why? Why not?
Who says this needs to be resolved? Who says that?
If it's a problem, there needs to be a
If it's
solution.
an issue, it needs to be
Y'all missing my point here. Y'all missing my point. Who's saying that?
What are you trying to say? That a woman
trying to say that the women wanted to resolve things one way.
The fact that the guys don't see that there's an issue that needs to be resolved, you guys are fueling the fire. You guys are basically enabling this whole nagging situation. That's how I look at it.
Enabling? Oh, okay.
Yeah, or enabling that type of action or that type of response.
Okay.
Hey,
by not addressing.
You know what? Hey, you got it.
So in relationships,
Let me show you how I communicate.
Like sometimes you have to agree to just disagree.
Right. And that's what a man does. When he says, you know what, you got it, we're agreeing to disagree. But I guarantee you, you'll probably call Heather and ask for my number because you didn't get resolved. So you got it. You got it.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's move on. All right, do you think there's been a shift in the gender roles?
Yeah.
You said yes?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why you think that?
I mean, well, you know, one, I have been, a single mom since 19. So I have, double majors, got a degree, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that, oftentimes the shift happens because of the acceptance of responsibility and what we're willing to do with that. And I'm now seeing, or based on dating and all of that, I've met dudes that, it used to be like, oh, well, women don't want love, we want help. Well, that's how I see, a lot of men these days. You know what I mean? Like they're not looking for a wife, they want a mother. They want a mother, they want a provider, like they want someone to provide, security for them. And there's different, things that, grandma used to tell us to look for in a man. Many men these days don't possess those attributes. So I think that there has been a shift. Women have, grown in the workplace. We getting it on our own. You know what I mean? Like we trying to be our own mechanics. We ain't waiting for nobody to change our oil. We like, give me that wrench over there. You know what I mean? Like, so, I definitely think that society has played a role in that. Family structure has played a role in that, but there have definitely been a shift in gender roles. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody agree? What about the guys?
Yeah.
I don't.
Me neither.
I think that with women being in the workplace more, and the systematic reasons that have taken men out of the household, I think that women have taken a step up in certain situations. But I think in households where it is the normal family structure, I don't think there's a shift in the gender role. I still, as a man, no matter how much I make, no matter how much my woman makes, like I should know how much my partner makes, my other half, I'm just my woman. But I'm still like, we're not splitting the mortgage 50-50. That's on me. We're not splitting the light bill 50-50. That's on me. Like those bills are still my responsibility. I am the head of that household. I'm the man of that house. So no matter how much money I make, how much
But
money
that's
you
just your
make,
house. I mean,
certain things are still on me.
Where he from?
right.
Like I heard,
That's your
I
house.
heard, I heard on the last podcast, one of the girls was like, "I like cutting grass. I can go out and cut the grass. I wish I would let my wife or my girlfriend be out in the yard cutting grass, and I'm sitting my lazy ass on the couch watching TV. No, like what? No, certain things are still not. No, I understand you can do it, but no, I'm not gonna have you do it. I'm still like this. I'm still.
I agree.
Yeah, like I'm not. No, certain things are still. You are not. No, like as a man, you are. I'm not gonna allow you to do that because I can't as a man.
Wow.
Anything
but
that
you
I
don't
not allow
represent
my mother to
80%
do,
of the male.
I'm not gonna allow.
Let me just let you know that
my
now.
wife or future
You're
wife
definitely
to
a minority.
You are, yeah, he's a good breed.
Wait, listen. I wholeheartedly.
Come closer.
I wholeheartedly.
But they will let you cut the grass and be like, "Babe, you want some lemonade?" Like, are you serious? No.
If I couldn't see myself letting my mother do it, I can't let the lady that I lay next to every night do it.
Yeah. What were you saying, Renee?
What? That's so wonderful. But
I wholeheartedly agree with Wayne. But what Wayne gotta realize is he is one of a kind. There's not a lot of men out there that steps up to the level that he is talking about. And hence the reason why they're placed in the position where we feel like we have to do it. It's not that we want to do it. I don't necessarily, although I do it, go out and mow the lawn or do whatever that was traditionally seen for a man to do. But at the end of the day, if a dude is not stepping up to get it done, then I'm going to do it myself. Hence lies the reason why it's always said that Black women are independent. We don't choose to be independent. Circumstances, societal reasons are the reasons why we are independent. I would love all my bills to be paid. I would love to not have to have an MBA. I would love all of this to just sit back, have the guy deal with it. We can partner on the things we need to partner on. But no, you are very rare, Wayne, and I commend you. But it ain't like that all the time.
Right.
Awesome. Praise God. Bless him, Jesus.
The more you have. I've seen situations where a guy will take a woman that doesn't have a whole lot, set her up, but then when he meets a woman that is independent, that is accomplished, that does have, they expect for you to meet them and not do more, just because of where you are. And just like you were saying about being a single mom, I am a single mom and I did build a house and I do have my own, and I am progressing and moving forward. But at the end of the day, I lead my department. You know what I mean? When I get home, it's nice to have a man that said, babe, you know what? He's the head of this household, and he realizes when we in this house, he is the head. I don't want to come home and have to run my house like I ran my job, and my job and my position, my sales. Like, it would be nice to have a man that would step in there and do it. My grass need cutting right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm just saying, a woman that does that, she does it because she has to.
Right.
She's been put in that situation where she had to take on that role, like you were saying. But it's not that we choose to do it. You know what I mean?
No.
I would love to step back when I get home and be like, my baby got it. My boo, he's going to take care of this. Matter of fact, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to edge the yard while he's cutting the grass. And I'm going to bring some water out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if they're not going to do it, you're going to do it. Don't
have and biblically, biblically, we weren't even, we were supposed to tend to our own, build our own harvest and things of that nature. But, again, societal new norms have shifted in a way, much to what Wayne was saying. There's other things that have taken the man outside the household, and a lot of other circumstances that have arose that have caused a lot of Black children to be reared with a single mom, single dad, grandma instead of mom and dad, etc. But I just think that again, if it's hard, going back to just being like an independent woman, independent in the sense that I have my own, I can make my own decisions, and I use my own money to do what I do. And I think dating in today's society is extremely hard to meet a man that either is not intimidated or is not, or let's just say not trying to look at you as a come up. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, you to come up.
I'm the help. Okay.
Right. Right. You know what I'm saying? You're like, what?
But don't expect me to find a path to chart the course, and then make sure we get there too.
Exactly. Yes.
Help me. That I will do.
I'll be that. That's all I'll be.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
Come on, first. Come on.
Wow.
But you know, but
But
you know what? The problem with that is, and I think the reason that a lot of men look at women as a come up is because, again, you have to go back to the reason why men are not in the house and why men are not raised by men. So a lot of, especially a lot of young black men, are so used to being taken care of by a woman and not seeing a man in that position that they go from being taken care of by their mother to being taken care of by their girlfriend. So, you know, a lot of men that I know, and I was even in the beginning falling into this same pattern is, you know, you move out of your mother's house because the girl you're dealing with has Section 8 or has her own apartment. So then you move into her apartment with her and call yourself splitting bills. But your whole existence is based on her having that apartment, because if she decides to leave, then you back to mama's house or SOL.
Right.
So a lot of men feel like because women have been taking care of them their whole life, that's just how it's supposed to be, and women are supposed to take care of them. But that's because they've never had a man around to teach them that they're supposed to be the leader and they're supposed to take the lead. Mm-hmm. I was blessed enough to early, because I went from living with my mother to moving in with my ex who had her own place, and we were together and it didn't work out. And the best thing that happened to me was, instead of her giving me a heads up so that I could move back in with my mother, she just moved out and I came home and realized that she hadn't paid this month's rent and everything was gone. So I had no choice. Then I had a mother who was like, "Oh, you can't come back here because you made the decision to leave."
Good mom.
So I had no choice but to have to fend for myself, because before I had to take care of myself, I didn't believe I could. So I stayed in that bad situation for longer than I should have, because I thought that I had no other options to survive. But so once I had my back against the wall and I had to prove to myself that I could take care of myself, I was like, I got this. I think that was detrimental to me, because I got to a position where I found out that I could take care of myself, that I was like, I'm not taking nothing from no woman, because I could do this by myself. I don't need you. So that's how I ended up, 38 and single, looking for somebody instead of, finding somebody earlier, because I wasn't taking no more nonsense, because I could do it by myself. But that I learned that too late in life. A lot of men, if a man was in the house, would be able to teach their sons that, instead of having to learn that at 25, 26, 27, like I had to.
Right. Okay. So another question. Why do people ignore red flags in a relationship? Why do you think? When we hear the issues are happening, we ignore them.
What do you mean red flags?
Red flags. If you see something in a relationship that you know is not good, but because you say you love them, you stay there.
Oh, you mean like if a man is being abusive to a woman?
That
went to that's broad. That's real broad.
Extreme on that one.
Yeah.
So red flags, like if you see
red flags,
like woman.
I knew you was lying about that. I should have known, but I let it go because you're doing your thing in the bedroom.
Why do you think we stay around? Why do y'all stay there, knowing that there's issues that you?
I think sometimes we. Oh no, go ahead, please, Corey. Go ahead.
Well, I think he just hit it on the head. Sex a lot of time clouds your judgments on a lot of different things. If a person's bringing it to the table, it's kind of like, you overlook a lot of stuff. So
that depends on the person, because that ain't gonna clog my judgment. Like it depends on what you've been through and how much you've been through relationships. Like it takes.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think that depends.
All right. So one last question, right? Since we always saying is the battle of the sexes, what do you think, or what are some things that can foster a good relationship between men and women? What do you think we could do better in relationships? So the communication is better, so we don't have to nag. So
if you find that you're in a relationship with someone and say you're dating and you do see red flags and something comes up, don't perpetuate that relationship and lead that person on. I think we could do better about that. Just being honest to say, this isn't working for me, or you know what, I just don't feel like I'm growing in this relationship or whatever, but don't lead that person on a year later, you know, and they're thinking that you're in love and this is going to be forever, you know, but curtail it and cut it off sooner than later if you don't think it's going where it needs to go. I think we could do that. I think that leaves a lot of us damaged. You know, it leaves a lot of us feeling insecure, and that's on the male and female part, you know, on both behalves, because we take advantage of the situation or the convenience of being with someone, knowing that it's not going to be something, knowing that it's temporary, you know, so not leading each other on and leaving each other hurt, you know, but healthy, might be alone, but healthy. You know?
Right.
I think would help out a relationship if you go into it for a positive attitude. And you go in with the expectation of not trying to get something out of it, but what can you bring into it? So if you go in and you're like, okay, you know what, let me try to make this person's situation better, and they come in with that same attitude, I think that would actually help a relationship last.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
I like that. What you think, Wayne?
What was the question? What will make a relationship better?
Communication between men and women.
Keeping the relationship between you, understanding that the only two opinions that matter in this relationship are ours. My mother's not dating you. My friends are not dating you. I'm not dating your friends. I'm not dating your family. So what's going on between us stays between us. I don't want to hear your opinion based on what you said, what your friend said, what your mama said, what somebody said. The only things that matter between us is us. Keep our business between us. Make the decisions between us. Don't let outside people who don't have to live in your house, who don't have to sleep in your bed, influence decisions in your house in between the two of you.
Okay. Barbara, you got something?
I can go with that.
I would say, so I like to use the acronym, not credit, but credit. So I would say communication, respect, empathy, boundaries, intimacy, and trust.
You might have to write that down.
No, Jesus.
Yeah, you're gonna have to send that in the group chat or something. I like that.
So to put that on a T-shirt.
Hey, right. I'm like, wait, did she copyright that? Like, money? No.
That's good. What do you think, Barb? Anything? Carbs?
I think for me, one thing that I try to keep in mind is not to look at my partner through the lens or wounds of my past.
Oh my God, that's
I think that that is something that as women, especially when we have adapted the ability to be everything to everyone else but ourselves, we tend to like automatically be like, oh my God, like we have the proclivity to be like, oh, he just like it, like he just like that, you know. So, you know, that's something that I'm even now learning and practicing not to respond through the wounds of my past, not to make decisions through the wounds of my past. So I think that's definitely something for me, and you know, implore anyone else to pick that up. But you know, that's something that's major with communicating, is to make sure that you're looking at it with a fresh mind, fresh eyes, clear mind, renewed heart. You know, so yeah.
I think
don't bring that baggage in there.
Is the importance of allowing yourself time to heal after a relationship.
Yes.
And so not going from one relationship to the next relationship. We've all heard the saying of people having baggage and you constantly carrying it into the next situation, male or female. But I think, you know, we really have to take a look at, you know, what went wrong in that relationship. And I'm not saying, you know, sometimes people are good people. They're just not good for you. It's not a good fit.
Yes.
Right. And so a lot of times I'll tell my patients, you have to think of dating like buying a car. So I might think I want a Benz, but then I get in a Benz and I'm like, oh, I don't really like how it drives or how it handles, or if it's not compatible with the way that I drive. Right. And or I might not need a Porsche because I love the speed. And so that's going to cause me to, you know, have, my dog is trying to have an opinion.
No, yeah, she amening you. Damn, man.
You know, that's going to cause me to get tickets. And so a lot of times it's just a matter of take that time, give yourself that space, that time, that permission to heal. And it doesn't mean that you can't build friendships with a person, but you may want to say to that person, right now, I'm not ready for a relationship. When I got into a relationship with the person I'm dating now, he's like, yo, you made me wait a whole month before we even went on a date. And I was like, yes, because I had made a commitment and a vow that I was going to grow closer to God, and I needed that time, and I had committed that time to doing so. And so because I met you, did not mean that now I was just going to give up on that. And if you're not willing to wait, you're not willing to wait. And I respect that. But then you'll just have to right. You have the one. Right. And so I knew what I needed in that moment, and I communicated what it was that I needed. I set a boundary that was very firm, and you know, he trusted me. I trusted him that he was going to give me that space, and that in me requesting that space, that you know, I guess I just trusted that he would wait.
Right. Okay. Anything, Renee?
I think for me, what I've learned over time is communication. I can't stress that enough. And I think for men, I was the one, as you all know, that said that women are better communicators. But I think for men who have a challenging time expressing themselves verbally, I've learned, because I'm very verbal, to give a safe space, allow a safe space where a man can verbally express himself. And I think communication is very, very important on that level, because I think that's the only thing that can let you know where, or gauge where another person is, or gauge, you know, the expectations of another person. So we oftentimes take it for granted, but I do believe verbal communication is very important, and allowing that safe space to say, you know, if the person is being honest, allow that safe space for them to be honest, for them to express some feelings, for them to express their feelings. So I think that's what I would say.
Yeah. Keisha, anything?
Well, I mean, I agree with most of everybody. I think that you have to be healthy to be in a relationship. You have to communicate to be in a good relationship. And you have to be your best self in a relationship. If you're not any of those, I mean, we all have baggage, but do we allow that baggage to interfere with our relationship? I think we have to be able to, and I think that comes from, you know, healing yourself and your past traumas and everything like that. So that's what I think.
I love it. Well, guys, I really appreciate this. One thing I do want to end our conversation with, if you don't mind, is there something, can you share one thing that you are grateful for before we get off? Because, you know, a lot of times we don't say we're grateful for anything most of the days, because we're so stressed out and we don't think about a lot of things. So we don't think about stuff we're grateful for. So can y'all share one thing that all of us are grateful for?
Listen, I'm grateful to be alive and healthy every day.
Right.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yes.
So I'm grateful. My daughter just went through some stuff this week, so I'm grateful today she's healthy. So, and she's doing great. So that's my gratitude for today.
I am grateful for my relationship with God, because I feel like if it wasn't for my relationship with God, a lot of the challenges that I have gone through, that I would not have come out the way I have. So thank God for God.
Amen.
Thank God for God.
Corey, go ahead.
I mean, Heather, you know me. I'm a mama's boy, so I'm grateful. I thank God every day that I can wake up and my mother's, a part of my life. So that's the one thing I'm grateful for. She's always been, my rock, my provider, and she's been there for me. So that's.